Hello, welcome back to Lumps of Life. I am Jared Lumsden, and I shall be doing an interview today. My goal with these, this will be kind of the opening salvo of the interview series, which is going to be a heck of a lot easier because then I don't have to just sit here and stare into a camera and ramble by myself for a whole lot of time, and it gets very exhausting. But for these interviews, my goal is just walk through their roller coaster and their lumps of life and understand kind of who they are as a person, what makes them tick, their pain, their traumas, their successes, their failures, the lessons they've learned, and just kind of follow along with the way I started these and just let other people tell their stories and kind of understand that everyone deals with the lumps of life, if you will. So without further ado, my first guest is going to be a retired professional wrestler, my old arch nemesis in the wrestling ring, the artist formerly known as Sam Knight, Isaac Watson. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, we had some fun.
We did. So I'm not gonna lie, that was probably the most fun and the most nervous I have ever been doing anything. The promos like on here weren't too bad because I was kind of in my element, but the in-ring stuff, like I felt like I held myself composed, but every single time the like nerves and anxiety that I would get getting ready to do those things every single time was like, all right, like we just got to go do it and just like don't show that fear, don't show that, just go for it. Like, but yeah, I always felt so comfortable with you, and then like to an extent where then I kind of like oh shit, did I go too far? Like that may not have been the right thing to say because I would get aggressive.
Well, I mean, there really isn't any, really any right way to do this. Like, you don't go out there and bury the guy, but
Yeah,
um, you when that red light's on you, and I tell everybody, they put a mic in your hand, that red light's on you, make it make sense.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I loved cutting promos on screen. Doing the cameras at home was nerve wracking for me because I'm like, oh, I sound stupid, but I always vibed off the crowd.
Oh
Like
yeah.
their responses is why I would get aggressive, like with some of the things that I said,
Y- I feel
and
like
they would buy into it.
it was always so fun, and it was like you could I never understood how much you guys do in the moment, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Like, I knew like,
Hmm.
obviously, when you watch wrestling, you get the idea it's sports entertainment. You get the idea that, like, they kinda get the idea what's going on, but I did not realize how much you guys, like, fuck with each other and do things that are just like, they're sort of part of the script, but, like, I'm
Off the
going out
cuff.
there assuming I'm getting ready to get punched and knocked out, and instead I get kicked in the balls and thrown out of the ring. And it was like, huh, that's not how I saw that going in my head.
Yeah, yeah. We do a lot of off the cuff stuff, and a lot of it is to pop each other. Like, what I'm saying. I have guys that I like. I'll break the fourth wall. Elijah Eros and Ash and Adonis. This during the tail end of my career were two of my favorite opponents because we would always vibe off each other. My
Yeah.
last match with Elijah was just us laughing and doing stuff, and it was so good.
Yeah.
And at the
Wasn't you
end
having
of it,
fun?
when he hugged me, he was just like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." I'm like, "Dude, stop! You're gonna make me cry. Stop." He's like, thank you so much, thank you." He's like, "I'm so much better because of you." Like in that moment, and he's talking about the
Yeah.
the the work, the program we worked to elevate him to the next level in that particular moment. Like he is a phenomenal athlete, but in that particular moment, sharing the ring with me made him better. You
Yeah.
know, and
Well, that's
him
because in that
and
moment, you
vice
were
versa,
having fun. You
and
were
then vice
having a
versa.
good time.
Yeah, yeah. So Ash and Adonis the same way. He told me in my retirement show he stayed around to the end of the show and wrapped his and after us, and it was a snowstorm.
Oh,
He
that's
wrapped his
awesome.
arms around me. He wrapped his arms around me. He said, "Thank you for making me better." Like, what?
They're both very good dudes. I like both of them a lot.
Really good dudes. Really good
Yeah.
dudes. So, like, but the only way to figure that out is to be like we were talking about off air,
Mhm.
tried by fire.
Yep.
You know, you're handed a mic, go do it. I'm
Yeah.
not giving you notes. And I used to tell you that at the same time. Like we'd be talking. Like when before doing podcasts and even before
Yep.
doing shows, you'd be like, "Hey man, I hope look, hey, I don't want to make you mad." And I'm like, "Pish posh, bro.
Like,
Just
just
say
do
what you
it.
say. I'm
Yep.
gonna give it back to you. We'll figure it out. We're friends."
So
And
I
like
didn't
you would,
realize that was part of it. Like, I just
mhm,
assumed like, okay, I don't want to disrespect anyone in this world. Like, I don't it wasn't my world. I hadn't been trained. I just kind of got thrusted into it and was having a great time, and like that's just how I am. I'm just blunt and honest, and like I'll just go. I don't have that like filter, and I'll just, especially in those moments, you almost black out and you just like
yeah,
start rolling with stuff. And there were times where it was like I'd have ideas pop in my head or things would pop up and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm not sure that's like, am I okay to say that?" Like, I don't know if that's gonna like, especially when we were making fun of your heart attack. There were multiple times where I'm like, "This dude's gonna fucking kill me." Like, I'm not sure that this is okay. Like, he's gonna like legitimately kill me.
and I would just smile and be like, "Go, keep going, keep
Well,
going."
well, that was also before I knew you very well either. Like when we first started
Yeah,
doing this, like it was just getting into it. And my idea for being a heel is be as despicable as possible, be as slimy as possible, and as cowardly as possible, because then it makes you bigger and bigger every step of the way. The worse I look, the better you look. And that was kind of
yeah,
my thought, was like the more shitty, cowardly, like I'm going to pick the most grimy things to like say and do, and just continue to be that annoying little rat that has no business speaking like I am to wrestlers, like kind of thing. Then I can just hide behind anything that I can. But then obviously once you got your hands on me, every time it worked. It was awesome and it was fun. And it was like, oh cool. Like people enjoy watching me get my ass beat now by Sam.
yeah.
This is great.
But that was, that's the formula of it. Like the heart attack thing. Like,
Yeah.
fun fact, I'll tell you, Shiloh and I were going to use that for the retirement. We were going
Oh,
to say that he was the he's the main reason why I had it.
oh, that's
And we were going to do so much, but it all crept up on us so fast
yeah.
that we didn't get out half the ideas of things that we wanted to do, which is
That's how it
fine. I mean,
usually goes.
so you can have all the plans in the world, it never happens. But
Absolutely. So
with you, go ahead, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I want you to finish your thought.
But with you, it was easy because you took direction very well. And I knew how nervous you were, and I knew that there was nothing you were going to say that was going to make me come out of pocket.
Yeah.
I may have reacted on screen because I wanted to make you that bigger heel.
Yeah.
Like I wanted people to be like, Sam is really going to break this dude. And then when I finally would get my hands on you, I barely could get to you till I finally did.
Yeah. And it
You know what I
worked
mean?
perfectly. Like it just kept
Yeah.
being that like cat and mouse thing where
Yeah.
obviously I'm not a wrestler. I wasn't part of that, but I kept being that annoyance, that distraction, that thing that could take your attention off of something or put us in a good whatever it was, like, and it made commentary easy because we had the back and forth, we had the story, and it made all of it. It made all of it very fluent, very easy. The promos were easy, and it was like, "Oh, this is fun. Like, this is
Yeah.
really, really cool." And it made me fall in love with that part. Like, I've always
Mhm.
been a big wrestling fan. Like, we did the backyard wrestling back in the day and did all of the whatever having, but it was hilarious. But it wasn't like what we got to do in that. And it was like, oh, I get to like actually be in a wrestling ring and do these things. And it was like getting to like live out that childhood dream. So I kind of want to pivot and dive into kind of that for you? You made the comment a second ago about things not always going as you plan, so then you kind of have to pivot. Obviously, we talked about a little bit. You did just retire from wrestling. You had your last match in November. I want to get to that as we get through this, but I want to kind of start with the young Isaac that was getting into wrestling. Where where was that person's brain? And I kind of want to just go through how that's progressed over the years and then how you've pivoted that into where you're at now. So what was the young Isaac before wrestling? How did that kind of all play out?
Short, fat, and stubby. Uh, uh, Kid from South Central. Just came out of private school. Went into public school. I got bullied growing up.
Okay.
Um,
So
I
can we
got
go
I
into
got
that a little
bullied.
bit? Because obviously that's going to be kind of what shaped a little bit of who you are.
Yeah, we could dive into that. I got bullied from second grade to about six
Okay.
by the same two dudes. And my dad would come to my school every single day, bro. Like, and it got to the point my dad got sick of it. He got sick of
Yep.
me, sick of coming to the school, and he was like, "You're going to have to fight back." And I never did. Um, and so they it wasn't a consistent bullying because they would lay off, but it was like as we got older, they would come back to
Yep.
it. And so finally, it wasn't until the sixth grade that I finally stood up for myself because I started putting on some size.
Yeah.
Put
Built that
my dad had
confidence
put
a little bit.
yeah, dad had put my sister and I in martial arts. And growing up in South Central was hard enough.
Oh,
Gangs and
oh, I bet.
danger, and we were walking home from school and catching the school. We were catching the metro bus. We were catching the regular school bus. Like there were already things that were out of our control that were dangerous. So this situation was sort of like it was in my control to be able to defend myself. And so finally did. And I was a big 12-year-old, I was a big 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Um, and so finished middle school, and actually it was sixth grade that I fell in love with professional wrestling. Now, don't get me
Okay.
wrong. I had seen it. I had seen it on television because back in California we had Fox 11, and Fox
Okay.
11 on the afternoons they had. I remember because we had that little bitty TV inside of our kitchen, and, and so I remember seeing the Undertaker in Paul Bear's parlor. Remember, and he used to have that green
Oh,
ominous light in the
yeah.
background and with the caskets in the back, and so I remember seeing that, but I never really knew what it was.
Mhm.
And so, because I knew that to come on before Harry and the Hendersons. I used
Okay.
to like watching Harry and the Hendersons. and
Yeah.
so,
I love that
and
that's how
so
your love for wrestling started, was Harry and the Hendersons. It was like,
Harry and
"Alright,
the
I gotta get
Hendersons,
through
right?
this wrestling shit, and then we can watch Harry and the
Let's get
Hendersons."
through it. And so after that, I remember I knew of wrestling, and at the school I went to Henry Clay Middle School in Los Angeles, California. And I remember our PE teacher, Coach Peppers, we would watch wrestling on rainy days in the gym. And I didn't really know it. So we were watching, and then my buddy, I traded a Final Fantasy VII game for the PlayStation 1 for
Mhm.
a VHS of the 1999 Royal Rumble.
Oh,
And
that's a
so
solid rumble too.
it was stacked Rumble, right?
Yeah.
So I brought this VHS home, and the match that did it for me was The Rock versus Mankind, and it was at the Arrowhead Pond. It was for the WF Championship, and it was. I hadn't seen Rock in his gear yet. He was wearing the tracksuit,
Okay.
and
And this is
so
the one where
and
he
that's when
bludgeoned him with the chair
he
like
beats him.
800 times?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. And so, like, oddly enough, he was the one I zeroed in on. He was the reason why I wanted to be a pro wrestler. from the way that he walked to the way that he talked to the way that he would punch to the way that he would move, his bumping, his selling. Like I was like enthralled with this handsome Samoan gentleman
Yeah.
or Samoan slash black gentleman. I'm like,
Yeah.
who is this dude?
Like, I
And
want
like,
to be this. This
I
is
want to
what
be
I
him.
want.
Yeah. And I remember the video package that led into that Rumble match. I mean, to that match. And I could say that video package by heart.
Mm.
I knew it by heart, just like I knew
Oh,
the video
yeah.
package before the Rumble match itself with Austin and McMahon. I knew that too, because I had watched that video so much. And so I remember the promo that Rock cut, but with Michael Hayes, who was Doc Hendricks at the time. And The Rock talked about how he was going to go and win the WWF Championship, and he went out there and they had that match, and he beat Mankind up. And then you hear the recording where he says, "I quit, I quit, I quit," and you hear Jerry Lawler go, "Did he just say?" And then and Michael Cole was on commentary as well. And I remember Rock standing over Mankind with the WWF Championship, holding the belt up, and this guy threw a can at the Rock, and the Rock's talking mess to him, and they had to take Rock backstage, and Rock had pushed him off the stretcher. And I said, "Dad, this is what I want to do when I grow up." And my dad goes,
Yeah.
"Don't you know this is fake?"
Ah. You're like, what?
What? Dad, I just watched this dude get beat on. What?
Yeah. But isn't it wild that those are those moments that stick with you though? Because like those are things that I think about now with my kids, where like these like throwaway comments that you don't think about as a parent, that when you see how it like sticks with you as an adult. Like me and my wife had went through a bunch of stuff like through our life and childhood, and you start like coming to the conclusion of these things that stick with you in life. And it was like, oh, these little things shape so many things. So now like when my kids have those moments of like, oh, hey, I want to do this, I'm like, oh, okay, let's hear it. What do you got? What do we want to? Because it's like, who knows? Like that may be the thing that like drives that my kid into doing their passion or their purpose and figuring out what. So like being able to like have the like that thought now, because there were so many times in life that like whatever, you're tired, you don't have the money, you whatever, and your kids want to do something, or that, and it's like, dude, we're not doing that. Like, but you don't explain it, you don't like, and that was something I always did. I did that forever, where I was like, and then I had those realizations now where now I'm like aggressive with it, where I'm like, all right, hey, let's figure this shit out. What do we like? How do you need to work towards it? What do you got to start doing? Do we need to do this? Like, but
this is you breaking generation. This is you breaking generational curses.
Well, I want them to know, because like you're always told you can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want to be. Well, you can. You just have to put energy into it. So if you have a goal in mind, if you just sit back and go, well, I want to do this one day. Well, that's fantastic. What are you doing to get there? What are you doing to get yourself there? Okay, I want to be a professional wrestler. Okay, well, look at the professional wrestlers. Where's my body at? Look at the way they speak about things. How can I speak on a microphone? Look at the way they handle themselves, their diet, all of these things. In order to become that, you have to become that now. So you have to start working towards being that person before it's going to come to you. Like just sitting back and waiting for it, it doesn't get there.
Yeah, like I wish I would have known that when I first started watching it, because it wasn't until I broke in that I realized this is really hard. Which that brings me to my next point of what my goal going forward is for the year 2026. And I'll jump right back on what we were talking about, but real quick, because it just popped in. The goal is to do more. It's to go beyond the comfortable. I have all my life I have done just enough.
Yep.
I get to the just enough passing grade, the just enough in the relationship, the just enough as a father, the just enough as a professional wrestler. I'm good enough, good enough to be on shows. I'm good enough to teach. Not, I want to be better than good enough. And so that is a direct reflection of why I only got good enough. But we'll get into that later. But the goal for the year is we're doing more. When it feels
I
like
love
it's
that.
enough, it's not enough. We
Yep.
got to do more
It
because you will never get to your full potential staying at doing just good enough.
Absolutely. I told you this before the podcast. There is a YouTube channel called To the Death Gym, and I believe it's under Hattie on YouTube.
Mhm.
Haddy. Go watch these fellas work out. It is borderline psychotic, but like it will show you that you are not pushing your body even near what it is capable of. Like these dudes get after it. It changed the whole way that I think about working out and lifting weights. It was like, oh, I don't do anywhere close, but like pushing yourself
Half
to
as
that
much.
uncomfortable, that pain. If it's something that you're nervous about, go it. Do put yourself in that. Like if you're a professional wrestler and you don't like doing promos, find ways to get yourself on a microphone. Like get comfortable doing those things. At like I assume, like again, it does anything you're doing, putting yourself into that uncomfortable pain, that weirdness, and breaking that fear, it melts away so many anxieties and stresses because you're genuinely like just putting in the reps essentially.
Well, I liken it to childbirth. Childbirth is an uncomfortable event.
Mhm.
I have been gracious. I mean, I've been blessed enough to be able to see it multiple times. But when a woman is giving birth to a child, it is very painful.
Mhm.
The thing about the pain is, what does the doctor keep saying? Push.
Push. Yep.
And she's like, I'm pushing as hard as I can. The doc's like, I know,
Mhm.
push.
Yep.
Because as you push, this is the revelation. As you push, something starts to break through. And the breakthrough is the next generation of you.
Oh, that's a
So
fascinating analogy.
so like with us, we get so stuck at the pushing part.
Mhm.
Eh, this is the
Hard.
push for us.
But
Very,
that's because that's also because of the way that life is. Everything is designed to make you comfortable. Everything is
yeah,
designed to be easy,
yeah,
and they just keep doing it over and over again where everything just keeps getting easier and easier, and eventually the robots are gonna run everything. Like
yeah.
I read a thing the other day that the projection was that by 2030 AI was going to take over upwards to 800 million jobs and or change or displace them because of what it's going to do. And don't get me wrong, it's not quite there, it said, but when I was breaking it down on AI, it was like, well, I mean, there is still a possibility, but it will take over. I want to say it said 30 to 40% within the next I think it was 4 to 6 years. I can't remember exactly. I want to do a whole podcast on it because it scares the shit out of me, but it's also awesome. But it's like that's kind of like the way of the world and kind of where it's pushing to is everything's getting easier. It's getting comfortable because
But
once
ask
they
yourself
do that,
why.
because these billionaires want to keep control and that's the way they can do it. You keep everybody relying on that universal income. Then if you step out of line and say the wrong thing, well then, hey, sorry, your check's not coming this week, you need to shut fuck up, don't be saying those
Yeah.
things. And then that
Well,
that creates a whole problem.
also the world got comfortable with not having to work.
Yep. Yeah,
You
COVID
know,
really did some wild things to our life.
yeah. It was the world got really comfortable with sitting in front of a computer screen and not doing anything. The
Yeah.
world got comfortable. The world taught our children that you don't have to go outside and play anymore. We give you a laptop or a tablet or a cell phone, and you don't know how to actually interact with people. This is why we have the DoorDash system. This is
Yep.
why we have, like, these are conversations you and I could have any
Ye
day.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, it's the
you
grocery
know,
delivery, it's the I had did a whole thing on it on one of my podcasts of the way, like, paying with cash has went to the tap to pay. Now you can just order it beforehand and go pick it up, like, they're just making everything so comfortable, and then, like, me and my wife had this conversation where the temptations of the world, like, everything is kind of designed to fuck you up mentally to an extent. Like the
yeah,
food, I have been we are what, January 12th. So I went 11 days with basically no sugar, no snacking. I've like been very locked in. And last night I ate Oops All Berries, and I have been shitting what looks like green sludge for the
Mhm.
entirety of today. And it's like my brain was slower this morning. It took me longer to get up. My workout was not even remotely close to the calorie burn it normally is. And it's like, oh, I like that's all I needed to see. No more. We're not doing that anymore. Like it was one of those weak moments of like, we've went 11 days with no snacks. We can have one tonight. We'll be fine. But it's everything. It's the porn, it's the social media. It all of it is designed to keep that distraction, to keep you like not paying attention. Like think about our whole generation was raised on dick jokes, slurs. Like what do you think that does? It creates a bunch of insecure males that live on ego and making fun of each other. Like it they designed it on seemingly on purpose. You kind of demasculate a population and it makes it a lot easier to control it.
Also, instant gratification. We live in a
Oh yeah.
world that everybody wants things instantly. It's at your fingertips.
Hmm.
Like nobody really has to work for anything anymore. And where we've all enjoyed the benefits of it, it's like, oh, that was the first thing you say when something's made simple. Man, that's simple. I didn't realize it was that simple, man. That
Yeah.
that just made my life so much easier. Well, why did it make your life so much easier? Because it cut out the actual learning part to get the
Yep.
experience to know how to do it. Now all you have to do is push a button,
Yeah.
and like it's children. Like I look at my children who, they just want a tablet or a cell phone or something in their hand, and it's like, bro, like, you know, we used to have hooked on phonics. Like my mom bought hooked on phonics for us when we were kids, and we sat down and that's why I'm so intelligent. You know,
Yeah.
like like that's the reason why like we had to read books. Do you know now, like, because like I mentioned earlier, like I'm in Bible school now, and reading sucks. Like I hate reading.
Yeah.
Like I used to love reading, but I hate reading now because it's like we are so used to having things read to us.
So,
So
do you
used to.
have the problem of like when you're reading, your brain starts drifting, where like you start
Mhm.
reading and you're still reading, but like you're thinking about wrestling or
Everything
something
else.
else, and you're like 6 pages in, you're like, what the fuck? Like I don't even know what just happened. Like what was I
I
doing? Like
can't
I was just
retain it.
looking through the words.
Yeah, so I put up a post on my social media recently, and I'll share it here where I said, I've been in this for a few months, but after today, I can legitimately say that I am a college student because I had to write a 6-page paper that I thought was good, and I got a C on it. And I was like, what? What?
Well well, that's because you didn't use ChatGPT to write it, and it wasn't,
I
like, perfect, so you gotta
wrote it
remember that
myself.
you did it with your human brain in your hands, so, like, you gotta
Right.
give yourself some credit.
But, it just it was like, um, the things that I would have known from going to college,
Yeah,
with the things I would have known from being in school, because I graduated high school in 2005. Like, to think back on that stuff, I'm just like, I was a great writer in school.
yeah,
What happened? Well, the world has changed so much that our brains have been poisoned. I will say that word,
uh-huh,
poisoned, to now we don't think the way we were thinking at our in our adolescence in high school, to where we knew certain things and now we've forgotten it.
yeah.
You know, we
Well,
don't
you
apply
lose
it
that inner
anymore.
child. You lose that innocence because the world hardens you, so you don't have that same, like, hope and wonder. It kinda gets beat out of you, just prime example, like, our whole generation, like, a whole literally, a whole generation was raised very similarly the way you just said your dad reacted to you wanting to be a wrestler. It wasn't a safe thing, so it was like a generation raised on safety, that chasing your dreams was crazy. Doing anything
Yeah,
outside of business is crazy. Don't
yeah.
don't do that because you don't want to get hurt. You don't want,
You don't
but
want to
that's
fail.
that's how
You
you
don't
live
want to fail
life.
at that.
Yeah, and it's going to you're taught not to chase anything that you can fail at. Well, go after this thing. But it's again, it seems like it's done by design. It's not by coincidence that most of our parents thought the same way, and that there's so many things that happen now that you see that like it's just generational people act the same way. It's human wiring. I kind of started seeing that the more people I talked to in the wrestling world, the more people I interviewed, the more people that I would just have random conversations. Like, you would hear so many similarities or see the same patterns. And it's like, oh, most of this is just human wiring. Most of this is just the stuff that most people deal with. We go through these cycles, these loops, and these things that happen over and over again that are painful, that are driving you insane. Most of the time, there's a lesson there. There's something that you're not doing correctly. And when you start taking a step back and having that perspective of, hey, what am I doing wrong? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what that person's doing to you. It doesn't matter what's going on in life. If it's happening repeatedly, there's something in there. There's a lesson there that you're missing. And if you can adapt that, it's happening for me, not to me mindset, and kind of look at it as that forge. You go into these fiery moments and you let God, you let whatever you believe in, you let it kind of put you through that fire. And then you understand that when you pull out, you're getting hammered out into that sword. You're getting beat down in a good way. You're breaking out all of these chains, these old habits, these old like mechanisms that are like wired into your brain via childhood. Like, you're kind of started. I read this thing that said, or it may have been a video on Twitter, I can't remember, but it's talked about how you're basically taught, like, as a baby, you go into the hospital, you're surrounded by doctors, you're being cut on, you're being poked, like, and just babies absorb the same way that you learn how to walk, you learn how to talk. Like, you don't teach babies, they absorb this shit. So you're absorbing your environment always. If your environment is always led by authority, by the doctors, by your parents, by a principal, by a teacher, by the police, by the government, it doesn't matter. You're always led to believe that there's a boss in your life. So you don't live for yourself. You don't do things that you just kind of follow along with what you're being told all the time. And it, like, that was kind of where I started learning, like, different things started working, and it was contrary to the things that I've been taught my whole life. And it was like, oh, okay. So then
it,
one
it
by one,
also
I started breaking them.
it also goes back to the Bible says, "Study to show thyself approved. A workman need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." Meaning, and the Bible also says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." So I'm going to explain both of those things.
Yeah.
You just hit the nail on the head when you said people who have been accustomed to having leadership, so all they know how to do is to be led,
Hmm.
which means I am being led and not even knowing if this person knows how to lead properly,
Yeah.
which means that I am not doing the research or the reading myself. So, as a minister, my job that God has called me to do is to lead his people to salvation.
Hmm.
That is the job of a preacher. A preacher is not supposed to lead you to a financial blessing. It could come with it, if that's what God sees fit. But the
It's
whole
finding
sole purpose,
happiness.
the whole sole purpose is to find your place with God, which means finding happiness
It,
because the goal that I believe is to go to heaven. That's the goal that I
hmm.
believe, right? And
Yeah.
so with that being said, I have to read my Bible. I can't just take the advice of somebody else who's reading it to me.
Yep.
As working in law enforcement, I have to read our SOPs and our JOMs. I can't just take the advice of somebody who's training me.
Yeah. Well, because
You
I think
know,
everyone has a piece of the puzzle. What if, as humans, like, everyone fights over perspective and religion and race and all these different things, but I think it's the same concept. It's there as a distraction. We're all people. We're all humans. What if, like, just because someone believes in a different thing, what if we're all looking up to the same thing? Like, has
same
anyone
thing.
stopped to think about, hey, maybe we stop murdering each other over this thought, and we, like, like, the Bible says not to do that. So, like, maybe don't kill each other. Maybe just go, hey, I think this way. Well, I think this way. Okay, cool. Let's talk about it. Like, what I don't, but
Let's discuss it.
yeah,
Let's
instead
discuss
of
it.
that, it turns into this chaotic thing where a perspective has to be right or wrong, rather than understanding, hey, maybe each religion has a piece. Hey, maybe each race has a piece of the puzzle. Each, like, why
Okay.
can't we all talk about our differences? Why can't we all talk about our mindset and our life? And maybe we'll learn some shit rather than, just killing each other and screaming at each other on social media all the time.
Chaos is an easy way to to keep people distracted
It's
from the
also
bigger picture.
profitable.
Yeah, majorly profitable.
So is mental health.
So,
It's all very
so,
profitable. So,
mhm.
that makes it
So,
hard.
like, if I can keep them fighting, they won't see what else we're doing.
Mhm. Yeah, and
So,
that's our whole world. Like, I'm genuinely convinced that there's a lot of things in this world done by design, and when you start breaking these habits and you kind of take that step back, and that was where kind of like I didn't realize that was what I was doing when I started doing all these things. Like, I just knew my brain worked better whenever I would eat better, when I was working out, and then it turned into a relationship with God where it was like, oh, I don't know that there's any other explanation to this. Like, and then the more I feed into that, the more I take care of my body, the more I handle these moments where I get that opportunity to like fall into a temptation or an old habit, and I choose the opposite thing. I choose, hey, you know what? No, I'm going to be strong and I'm not going to fucking do that this time. I'm not going to fall into that habit. I'm going to break past that. It works. Whenever I see these things in myself, my wife, my kids, and I start drawing these comparisons, it's like, oh, hey, this is what I was doing. Like, or like, I'll see it in my son where like he mirrors me a lot, where there's things that I was doing that I was getting mad at him, and then realizing like, oh, he's feeding off of me. That's why it's annoying me. That's why it's getting on my nerves, because it's triggering me, because it's me. Like, you got to take a step back and figure this out, dummy.
mhm.
And that
Yeah,
it's hard to do though. Like, it's hard to take that step and like, I don't know, keep that faith at times. So, like, I kinda wanna take that back to the wrestling a little bit, like,
yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah, sure.
faith, because obviously, like, as I said in the beginning, I wanted to kinda do a whole story arc, and I've learned that's not gonna work with these. This is just gonna be Wild West, and I'm just gonna talk about random shit. So,
Let's
that's where
roll with it.
it was one of those where, like, in my head, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna go this way," and it was like, "No, these are just gonna go
That's
the way
never
they
how it
go,"
goes.
and that's that control thing you have to learn, is that you can't control the outcome. You just got to kind of
That-
let shit go the
Just
way it's going
just
to
roll with it.
go.
Right.
So, like, keeping faith is very difficult. So, I told you a story beforehand of like, I had a moment where like me and my wife went through a few different things, and there were a few times where it was like, "Ooh, I'm not sure we're going to make it out on the other end of this." And processing those moments, or like dealing with these moments when like you're chasing your dreams and you're trying to go after this, and you hit one of these moments where like you hit a high that you think, oh, it's happening, things are this is what I need to do, this is what I'm supposed to do, but then God has other plans. And then you hit those crashing lows where the whatever, the noise stops, the silence comes, nobody's calling, that like that
Yeah,
feeling hits
yeah,
like,
those are the standing in my room crying and
yeah.
screaming at God moments.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
so go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, when those moments hit, those are the ones that I want to dive in with people on,
Yeah.
because I think as humans, this is a very natural thing where you get kind of pushed to your limits, you get tested, and that's one of those things that I feel like, for me anyway, I always masked those. I never wanted to show people that I was sad, I was mad, anything. I never wanted to show emotion ever, and I just wandered around as a shell of a human and just pretended everything was cool. And then it's not cool. Like, it gets sad, it gets lonely, it gets depressing, and figuring out how to push yourself through those moments, and faith and having that belief in God was a big thing in those moments for me. So it makes me like, I don't know, I just get fascinated by hearing how other people have been able to like push themselves through those moments.
So I was raised in church. I was raised in believing in God. Faith was not something that was lost on me. I am a firm believer in prayer. My best friend said to me one day, she said, "You're one of God's favorites." I said, "Why is that?" She said, "Because everything you pray for, he does for you." And I was like, nah,
Yeah.
she wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, as cocky as that sounds, um, God began to make me comfortable with no.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know about anybody else who'll come on this show and talk about their lowest moments, but I'll tell you about mine. One of my lowest moments came after I blew my knee out in 2020. Um, that was when I started to take. I was taking all these oxycodones to try to relieve pain, and I was having these hallucinations, and I was crying, and I realized that nobody had me.
Yeah.
Like, I realized there was nobody here for me. That the people that I had helped put a lot of people on in pro wrestling. And for those who don't know, like in pro wrestling, I was considered one of the uncles because I was giving people opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. But those same people that I was helping at the time, in the midst of me having an ego of my own, because I had a really, really bad one, uh, did not help me, and it left me by myself.
Yep.
So this goes back to the conversation we had off camera, where God forces you to sit in it. There was a lot of me sitting in that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking 8 to 10 months.
Yeah.
A lot of bad stuff happened. I was living off of not Social Security. I was living off of short-term and long-term disability. I had my car repossessed. Like, I couldn't go back to work. New Wave Pro had let me go and moved on from me. And at the time, I was the booker of New Wave Pro. I was helping putting butts in seats, and they moved on from me and they replaced me for different reasons on both parts.
Yep.
Like, my personal life was in shambles. And it was like, I remember laying in this living room with my leg on my leg on the couch with a brace on, screaming at God, mad.
Yeah.
But he had to get me comfortable with no. And then he allowed me to return to pro wrestling in March of the next year. And I went on what me and Alakon call the Sam Knight Revenge Tour.
Yeah.
And I ended up wrestling 2 NWA champions in the same year. I ended up like getting put back on the map and elevated. And that's when the highs came. And it was like, man, oh, we are on our way.
Yeah.
But within me, I'm like, I'm not doing it for the same reasons anymore. I'm actually having fun.
Yeah.
And fast forward to now, the conversation I had with myself, where I looked myself in the mirror and I said, God, I know this is not what you want from me anymore, because I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Like, this is all going great, but it doesn't. I'm getting up in my age. The kids are growing. No one's returning my emails. There are guys that are getting picked up to be extras on WWE TV, and I'm being ignored. No one from AEW is reaching out. Like, I know I'm good.
Yeah.
I know I'm great. Why? And it turned into me getting mad at him. Like,
yeah.
Why?
How recent was this?
This was maybe late 2003 going into 2024.
Okay. Yep.
2023 going into 2024. And like, it was like, I was just so mad with God. And it's like, I'm doing everything I know how to do. And then, I had the heart attack in June of 24, like, and,
do you think that was God's way of saying, hey, dude, slow the fuck down? Like,
well, I had already, remember, I had already announced that 2025 was going to be my last year.
Oh yeah, but you were going pretty hard then, though, weren't you? Like, you were running yourself pretty hard, and I assume, like, personally, you were running yourself pretty hard too. Like, that anxiety, that stress, like, that's literally the reason originally why I was on the crusade I was with my mental health and my physical. I hated that feeling. I hated
Oh, it
that
sucks.
that like, oh, that like gut that just tightness, that like overwhelming in your head. I hated it. So anytime it came back,
Nausea.
I quit my job and it went away. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize how much that was killing me. And then once I moved and learned that, it was like, oh, anything that fucks with me that makes me feel that way, like I'll try to fix it. But if it continues, I either need to learn the lesson here that I need to fix something, or I need to learn the lesson this is not for me and I need to move away from this so I don't. And then you learn to kind of protect your peace that way. But yeah,
Yeah.
that anxiety and that stress of life, if you don't like it, I guess if you're not handling it and you're letting it build up inside of you, that shit will legitimately kill you.
And that's what it was for me, man. I was dealing with, I was lieutenant in the jail, which was stressful for me because I didn't know
Yeah.
anything
Oh,
about
that
the
alone
position.
is a mental fuck just in its own.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast just in its own world. Like that's a whole nother animal.
Like I was dealing with that. I had everything going on with my personal life, fathering and all this stuff. And finally, the heart attack happened and it scared me. Like
Yeah,
I remember when I relinquished the Dynapod championship and I remember us talking
yeah.
and everyone's hugging me and they're like, "You're alive, you're okay." Like, what's going on? Well, what people didn't know is I still had to wear a mask, like with y'all,
Oh, yeah.
because man, it was. I didn't want people to know how bad it was.
Yeah. Which in all fairness, probably wasn't super smart for you to, like, try to do all of that. Like, I mean, obviously, like, do what you can, but still, like, who knows what could have happened? Like, and that's one of
Yeah,
those things that, like, perspectively, when you step back, like, yes, that world, it like, I assume now that you're like out of it, you look back at those moments and you're like, man, what was I doing? Like that, like, but you get so in love and so infatuated with what you're trying to do that you don't always see it that way. Like, I kind of want to meet you in the darkness a little bit because I told you a story beforehand. That's kind of what happened with mine as well. Like you you don't realize when you're in the moment how much attention and effort you're putting into these dreams. And I realized how little balance I had with my wife and my kids, to the extent where like my wife genuinely didn't think that I loved her. Like it
yeah.
created a whole thing where then like her actions out of fear, it developed almost like
Mhm.
a narcissism where
There was
everything
no
was
balance for me, bro.
no, yeah,
There there
you
was
lose
there
it.
was no balance. Yeah,
Like
there was no balance. It was like I was working and then I was working and then I was working and
yeah, well,
it's
because
like
your brain
it,
says, "I'm gonna get there, and then once I get there, I'm gonna relax." But
yeah, right.
that's where you fuck
That's not
up
how it works.
because you have to find that balance in yourself because the money's not gonna change that. If you have
Nope.
that mindset, you're just gonna always want more. You have to be happy in yourself now. You have to be happy with the Isaac that's you're looking at in the mirror. You have to be happy with that person. I have to be happy with the Jared I see every day. The person you see in the mirror is the way everyone else sees you. How you see
And
yourself in that mirror, that's how everyone in the world sees you. And that's what you have to love that person. You have to be thankful for that person. You have to appreciate that person. And that's when you start kind of gaining that. And that's something I never did. That was not like I hated that person in the mirror. Actually, I'll pull him up again. I showed you pictures earlier. I fucking hated that person. That
right.
fat person over there, I hated that person. Like I got out of the shower and would look at that's why I took that picture. That was one of the failed attempts at me trying to do a diet. It was me, my daughter was born, and it was me going, oh, I got to get my shit together. And I didn't. That middle picture is me 4 years later. Like I got fatter. It did not work. But that was because the mentality wasn't correct. The mentality was not to be healthy, to change my lifestyle. It was, oh, it's February, I want to have abs by July. Well, that's not going to happen. I've done a decade's worth of destruction to my body. Good luck. Like it's just, you have to change that mindset of everything is day to day. Everything is what you can do today. Yesterday does not matter. Tomorrow does not matter. You can deal with that when you get there. Today is what matters. And you take every moment to be in the moment. Like when I'm here with you, I'm not getting on my phone and needing to text someone, or no, I'm here with you doing what I'm doing. When I go out there after this, I'm going to go out there and be with my wife. When my kids get home from school today, I'm going to be with my kids and I'm going to hang out with my kids and enjoy that.
Yeah.
Because you being in that, I never understood that phrase of like, be where you are, be where your feet are.
Be in the
Like,
moment.
yeah. And like, I
So
never did that. I was always in my head. I would always think way ahead, or I'd be dwelling on a past thing, or I'd be worried about what I said to somebody or how this was going to play out. And it's just, no, I can't control those things. I can control my actions right now. What am I doing right now?
I used to preach that in pro wrestling, even in locker rooms before
Yeah.
shows. Hey, like, no, enjoy the moment. And so, leading up to my retirement, and I'll skip to that because
Yeah.
I'm looking at time.
Yep.
But leading up to my retirement, it was hard for me to follow my own advice because I ran into those moments of anxiety. And I remember you and I text, because I still tried to keep in contact with you, because
Yeah.
when you went ghost, I was like, that's not him. What's up? So, and that's just who I am.
Yeah.
So, but I remember you were asking me, you're like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And everyone who kept asking me, well, how do you feel? You're 4 shows away, you're 3 shows away. I don't know yet.
Yeah. So
You know,
what was the mindset that was that kind of the same mindset that you had when you were rambling that a minute ago when you were angry? Did you kind of hit that mindset again, or did you kind of just hit that come to peace moment, or did you feel that different
uh,
purpose shift?
um, so like, I think that the peace finally hit as I got into the single digits. So October
Okay.
4th, no, not October 4th. It was September. It was September or anyways, yeah, it was September. It was the second to the last Singleton show I did. Prior to that show, I had wrote this post about the difference between purpose and dreams.
Mhm.
And that's when it really hit me. Like,
Okay.
and so yeah, it was in September because I had gone to Colorado and I wrestled my last match in Colorado, and I dropped the belt to one of my friends who 15 years prior I had wrestled him in my first match at Battleground Pro Wrestling. So he was my first battleground match and my last battleground match. Full circle moment. And so I had wrote this post about how I had all these dreams and the things that I wanted to do, and God had allowed me to see what it looked like to be there. I tried
Mhm.
out for WWE twice. I have wrestled some of the biggest names, some that went there and left, and some guys that are there now. Uh, I have befriended a lot of people. Man, if you know me, you know that people know Sam Knight. Um, but my purpose was not to be a professional wrestler forever. My purpose was to follow the calling of being a man of God, go into the ministry. My purpose was to be is to be a great father. My purpose is to be a mentor. And what I had to do is the hardest part that everybody has to do, and that's recognize how selfish we have been because we're focused on the wrong things.
But
And
you
you
realize that now and not
now,
when you're like 70.
right.
So
I realized that at
you did
38.
make a big jump there.
Yeah, like I realized that at like 36, 37, I was teetering, but at 38, I'm like, all right, bruh. Like,
Time to lock in
so
some shit.
yeah, let's really
Yeah.
lock in. And so um I remember wrestling Elijah at that show. And then after that, October 4th, I dropped the belt to Elijah and I was done. I wrestled my last show in Clay County. And so I remember I was closing out the retirement tour, and with each show, I was getting standing ovations.
Mhm.
And I remember because I wrestled. Let's go back. I wrestled Reese Maddox August 9th, and Reese is my nephew. I love Reese, and I cried because I remember watching this kid as a kid, and now he's killing it on the indie scene. And
That's
then
awesome.
each match I would have, I'm in tears, and it was kind of like my John Cena, where I'm like counting down.
Yeah.
And so I remember the second to the last match I had was in Mishawaka, Indiana, at a Revolution Championship Wrestling, and I had dropped the Heart of the Revolution Championship. They had turned me heel and then turned me baby that night. Because I turned baby after I retired, after I had the last match. And I remember the whole building standing up cheering for me. And like I remember looking up, going, "We're at peace. We're at peace
That's
with this.
great.
Like this is it." And
Yeah.
then my last show was really where God really wanted to see where I was,
Yeah.
because
You get
my
tested a lot.
I got, bro, snowstorm, people calling off. My mom wasn't there, my kids weren't there. People I was like I knew that if the weather was fine, we would have had a sellout. We didn't. Like all these things happen, and everybody around me is like saying all this negative stuff. And in my mind, I'm going, I'm talking to God, going, "Oh, you funny, bro."
God likes to
Like,
check
bro.
if that ego is still intact or not. It
And,
likes to
and that's
crush that
exactly what, bro.
motherfucker.
That's what it was. He was checking my ego
Mhm.
like crazy,
Yeah.
like checking me, like even leading up to the show, bro. He was checking my ego, like, "Oh, okay, you sure?
How you gonna
I mean,
handle
you
this
talked
one?
it. Are you
Yeah.
sure?"
Yeah.
And I remember because I lost my last match. Shiloh beat me. And I remember when the pinfall happened, bro, I felt it all.
Released.
And I laid there, and I remember I pulled myself up in the chair, and I'm sitting there, and Shiloh's sitting next to me, and he puts his arm around me. And I'm sitting there, and I have the mic in my hand, and I begin to talk. And my voice is shaking. Like people who know me know, they know I'm a great speaker. My voice
Yeah.
is shaking, and I begin to talk, and I'm feeling it, and I'm going, and I start saying my thank yous. But in my mind, I'm going, God, I am content with this decision. It is well with me. You have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and go, I know who I am outside of this character I've been portraying.
Yep.
That's not just with being a professional
And that's
wrestler.
great life advice. That's just
Yeah,
solid life advice for anything. Like, you're
like
playing
know
that
who you
character,
are.
be yourself, like,
Be you.
in
Like
anything you're doing.
I look at the kids and I'm like, all right, so this is who you are, and just tell me who you are. Show me who you are. Pro wrestling, the kids I have, like, who are you outside of this?
Yeah.
Because nobody cares about your character. I don't. I need to know who you are outside of this. And some of these guys can't even tell you who they are.
Well, is that fear of, sorry, I had to swat, there was a fly flying in front of my face. It looked like
You're
I
good.
just swatted something. I was like, it just kept flying, and my brain was like, we got to get this out of here. And yeah, sorry, apologies. So for me, I remember when we did the backyard wrestling. This is going to sound so stupid, but I'm guessing mindset wise, this happens to a lot of people. So I wore a mask because I did not want anyone to know it was me, because I felt stupid for doing it. Like, I thought people were going to make fun of me for doing it. I thought people would laugh at me or think it was silly. So in my dumb brain, yes, all of my friends, and it's under my name, but because I'm wearing a mask, no one will know that I'm doing it. But that mindset of like feeling silly for doing it, like that was part of why I struggled to put this out for as long as I did. I went back and forth with it of like, I don't know that. And I talked about that on one of the episodes that like, I don't know that anyone's going to care. Anyone's going to want to listen to my perspective or hear these things or whatever. And it like, you can psych yourself out by saying all of the negative things, the what ifs, or you can just continuously have that belief that, hey, okay, if I'm feeling it and it feels right and it feels like what I'm supposed to do, maybe there's something here, so why not?
I'll tell you this. You want to know what keeps people from making money?
Fear.
He, them not putting out that product,
Yeah.
you not putting that song out, you not putting out that paper, you not putting out that idea, you not stepping up and opening your mouth. You withhold your own progress. You slow yourself down. And
Yep.
I had to learn that. My mom used to tell me all the time. First off, she would quote the Bible verse, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. Right?
Mm-hmm.
She would say that, and then she would hit me with Malcolm X's mantra, by any means necessary.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Like so my mom told me this. So real quick, I am a very smart dude. I was a gifted magnet program in high school. I but I went into I did just enough to where it fell from just enough to not caring. I was
Yeah.
ditching school. I was staying home. I just wanted to just live life. My parents had just divorced. I was dealing with a lot of an identity crisis because I was frustrated.
Yeah.
So my GPA got down to a 2.0. I got put on academic probation. I was told I was going to be kicked out of the gifted magnet program, which was going to get me kicked out of school. And so I had to step it up. And my mom, she did her mom parental thing where she would explain that it upset her, but the way it upset her was more on an emotional side. Like she shed tears because she was really upset that her son would allow himself to put himself in that position. And she said, "It is up to you." Because I had just had a conversation with the gifted magnet coordinator who I looked at as a godmother. And she had just told me, "Hey, we're going to end up putting you out the program." And my mom said, "It's up to you to get your grades up. If you can do this, you're going to," she said, no, not if you can do this and you need to do it by any means necessary. I ended up getting my GPA up and graduating. And my mom wrote me a letter graduation day. And at the end of that letter, she said, "You accomplished everything you were supposed to accomplish and you graduated high school by any means necessary." She
Hell
handed
yeah.
me this letter. I read that letter and I bawled like a baby.
Oh, I
And
bet.
so when I look back on my wrestling career, the 20 years of me being a wrestler, 6 of those years were a lot of stagnant movement. Um, it was the idea of saying, I am a wrestler. It's
Mhm.
cool. But I didn't invest in buying gear. I was too busy chasing this one girl. I was doing all this stuff. I wasn't taking training seriously. I missed out on so many things that could have made me a better athlete because my mind was other places. And I talk about this on a lot of podcasts.
Mhm.
So like I missed out on being even better than what I was because I didn't give 100%.
Yep.
It wasn't until I realized I'm holding myself back. All my friends are getting those opportunities. Why am I not? I'm just as good. I'm a better promo than them. I work out more than these guys, but I wasn't as dedicated.
And you were
The
focused
goal,
on your friends rather than yourself.
exactly. I was focused on everybody else. So now, to wrap this up for me, now in hindsight, after retiring, to any up and coming star, to anybody, this isn't just wrestling. Your goal is whatever you set ahead of you, accomplish by any means necessary. You cannot set a ceiling and be like, this is it. This is as far as I'm going to go. Because all you're doing is stifling your advancement.
Yep.
All you're doing is keeping yourself from being greater than what than what you could be. My mom says it all the times. She says you have to see it before you see it.
Yep.
You
And you have
know,
to be it before it'll get to you.
right?
You
You
can
know what I mean?
you
And
can be that
so
lighthouse. Lighthouses attract the ships. They don't chase them.
that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, and like, so I'm so grateful to God that I have grown so much. Even I've been retired for a month now, and like I went and I did the New Wave Hall of Fame last weekend, and somebody said to me, "How do you feel about being retired? How's retirement?" I said, "Phenomenal,"
Yeah. Got a lot of
because
energy
I don't
now.
have. Uh-huh.
Yeah. That mental space got cleared up.
Yeah, like I'm not wearing a mask anymore. like I am enjoying life outside of being
Y-
a wrestler
Well,
because now I'm focused on building a life for Isaac.
you get to
Not
be Isaac again for the
yeah,
first time in 13 years. You get to be Isaac. You get
yeah,
to step back from that and be Isaac. And then who knows what happens? Put that time into Isaac over the next 6 months and watch how life goes.
right. And that's the way I'm looking at it, man. So yeah, it's
Well,
gonna be phenomenal. I'm looking
well,
forward to seeing what happens next for Isaac.
I am too. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the work you did with me. Thank you for coming on here and legitimately thank you for being a cool dude and a friend. Like I genuinely appreciate you. Like
Same here.
we yeah, it's been very fun and we will absolutely do this again because I feel like we could have just talked for hours. So
Yeah,
well
man. We'll do some more diving.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you, sir.
All right, brother. Love you, man.
Have a good day. Love you. Bye.
You too. Take care.
Thank you for joining. We will be back next time. Goodbye.